were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all the smiling faces, gathering along the Scotswood Road to see the bleeding races. We went to bleeding races.
Oh, it's back through Bartes!
1862 on a summer's afternoon, we took the bus from Bambers and she was heavy laden. Where we went along Collinwood Street, that's on the road to Bladen. Whoa, me lads, you should have seen us gunning, passing the folks along the road just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all with smiling faces, gunning along the Scotswood Road to see the Bladen races.
Good afternoon, welcome to another video. John Sinclair TV back again for Newcastle away trip to Southampton at the St Mary's. That's a good start, isn't it? At St Mary's. So I've got two guests with us. I've got Tony, we co-host. Good evening, Tony.
Good evening, John. All right.
I'm Champion, and all the way from South America, but he's a Brit, Jordan. How are you doing, mate? Can you hear us, Jordan?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can. I just hi to you. How are you doing, Jordan? You good?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much for having me on. Looking forward to learning about Newcastle ahead. I've not seen much of the Premier League other than Saints games this season, just with the time. So I'll probably learn as much from you as hopefully you'll learn from me.
Fantastic stuff. So if you like the video, like what you see, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to super chat, then click on the $sign. If you'd like to become a member, then click on the join button as well. We start with you, Jordan, because you're a guest. Southampton, we look at the table, you're fourth bottom in a minute, my man, and it's not been a good start for you, hasn't it, really? I mean, you've got a takeover, and everyone's going to say he's going to be spending big money as well to make Southampton great again. And he's done about 50, 60 million quid. And the fourth bottom, what's going on at your club, mate?
Yeah, it's not good, and I think a lot of Southampton fans feel like it's time for a managerial change. Hassan Hootel's been with us for a number of seasons now. I think 4 seasons now, and makes him one of the longest-serving managers in the Premier League. But I think it's got to a point where we've stagnated. He did incredibly well to keep us up in the first couple of seasons. He was with us with a low budget. But yeah, since the takeover, what we needed in the summer, we didn't address. I think we need a number 9 more than anything. Che Adams is our best striker, and he just doesn't score enough goals for a team that want to compete in the top half or be right in the middle of the table. At the moment, we're basically just keeping our heads above the water.
Yeah, I mean, it's after a terrific club, so for family club as well. I'll be going tomorrow myself as well. So, and I promise it to be a good game. But you're right. I mean, like I say, you made some good signings. Jay Adams, looks a good player, but like I say, you need a number 9, really. Someone's going to get you something like 15, 20 goals a season. I mean, Adam Armstrong used to play for Newcastle United, didn't quite make it with us. I don't think it's the answer for you, mate.
No, not at all. And what we've been doing in recent years, particularly in the attacking categories, is we've been buying players from the Championship on the hope that they'll step up in a similar way that Andre Gray did when he first came through. Brentford striker at the moment, potentially going to the World Cup with England, and we've not replicated that with Che Adams and Adam Armstrong. I like what I see with Che Adams. If he took half the chances that he's missing, he wouldn't be at Saints, to be honest, because he'd get bought by a bigger club. There's a reason he's at Southampton and not playing for a top 7 club. If he scored 5 or 6 more goals a season, it'd be great for us, but he'd be gone. The last striker we had that scored with that regularity was Danny Ings, and he's now at Aston Villa, not even starting, to be honest. Ivan Toney, by the way, that's who I was thinking of at Brentford. But yeah, that's what we need to address. We signed a lot of young players in this transfer window. 3, I think, from Man City. Bazunu, who's gone straight in as the number 1 goalkeeper, very young Ireland international. Larios, a left back, who he's only 18. He'll play in time, and he's already got some minutes, but he's not an immediate first team. Well, not a first 11 answer. And Romeo Lavia, who returns tomorrow, actually, hopefully straight into the starting lineup because he's a very strong midfielder. And in his absence, Diallo, who's been playing alongside Ward-Prowse, again, he's just not the level. For many years, when we first got back to the Premier League, people were heralding our transfer recruitment, but I think it's been poor since about 2017 now. Hopefully this window in the summer is going to prove to be the change, because some of the players that we've signed, the majority of the players we've signed in this summer have looked impressive from day one, and they're young. But yeah, we have to improve if we're going to stay up, and I would not be surprised if we use the World Cup break as the time to make some big changes at the club.
Yeah, and do you think Hatton will be on this way?
I personally was a fan of his for a long time when a lot of people were already losing faith. But I think it's time for a change. I hope he goes personally. I'm really appreciative for what he did in the first couple of seasons, but I think it is time to go, and things that are coming out of the club, it suggests that there's big discontent between senior players and Hassan Hüttel.
Wow, that's not good, isn't it, at all whatsoever? Let's go through the comments here before we get Tony. Afternoon or to Leslie, plenty of goals this afternoon, there is indeed. And are the rumours true that Hutton is at risk of the sack, depending on the next two results?
Well, yeah, as I was just saying, we've got Newcastle and then it's the World Cup break. And I personally think they will use the World Cup break as the time to make the change. Yeah,
fair enough. Big up to Dunil as well, mate. Big up to Mansell as well. Big up to let's look at Dunil's comments there. Somehow need to sort of balance in the team. It looks like it. And what is the right back called? Is it true he's a weak link? The right back. Well, it can't be Kyle Walker-Peters, because Kyle Walker-Peters is a decent defender. He really is a decent right back. But who's your right back for Saints?
Well, the first choice is Kyle Walker-Peters, but he's out injured at the moment. And Tino Livramento also out injured. So if I remember rightly, in our last game, a 1-0 loss to Crystal Palace, we played Lianco at right back, or on the right side of the defence. We've been changing between back threes and back fives in throughout the season. But yeah, Lianco playing at right back is a player playing out of position. He's an interesting one. Like I joked with friends last week, like he plays with like the intent of like Rio Ferdinand, but with like the execution of Anton Ferdinand. Like he has bright ideas. I like the way he looks. I like what he's trying to do. And then half the time when he tries to execute it, he just fails miserably. I'm not a big fan of his at all. He's a bit of a fan's favourite. He's sort of like early stages of like cult hero status because of the passion he shows and how he plays and his interaction on social media, and the club focus a lot on him when they do media bits. But him playing out of position at right back is definitely, it's probably fair to say a weak link. If you isolate him one-on-one with your wingers, you could have real success down that flank.
Sure, and I'm sure ASM will have plenty of fun tomorrow. Let's be real. Good afternoon to Gareth. Hope you're okay, mate. Afternoon again. Man said, Jordan, don't worry. Steve Bruce is available. He will save your club with his great style of football.
Yeah, hopefully we don't end up going for someone like Steve Bruce or Sam Allardyce. There's been, I give them no credence, but there's been like rumours in recent weeks of Gallardo, the River Plate head coach. But that would be, a very left-wing move. It would be interesting. He is a good coach with a lot of pedigree. But yeah, I have no idea who the next manager would be, to be honest. But I do think we need to make the change.
Yeah, one will come before we go to Tony. I hope Wilson does not go to the World Cup, as already he'll get injured. He needs to be with Newcastle, not England, and a waste of time. As from Alan. Tony, what is the problem with Southampton this season? They're fourth from bottom, and they lavish around 60 million quid, and it just hasn't been working for Ralph at all whatsoever. The fans are not very happy about it whatsoever, and the players expect them to be sacked.
Yeah, they're just struggling again, aren't they? I mean, maybe down to the tactics of the manager. Maybe the players don't want the manager there, so they're not playing really well for him, so they can get him out the door, like Villa did with Gerrard. Could be a number of things, but I mean, we all know what kind of manager he is, Hasenhüttl, and we just go back to last season, when he done that ridiculous, when he went to the Premier League and asked them to stop us from playing our new players against Southampton because our game was cancelled. Well, I'm sorry, that's football. If games get cancelled, you can't refuse to play a new player against the team because it's just not going to happen. And if he had have won that, then I'm sure we would have had something to say, and I'm sure it would have ended up in a court case. So I think, the Premier League to laugh it off and say, go away, we're not interested, was the right move. And I mean, and for him coming out and saying that, and then saying that in the press conference as well, karma is terrible because it came back and it really bit him in the backside because, not only did Wood, a new signing, score, but also Bruno scored as well. But not only in that move when Bruno scored, it was also set up by two players that had been signed. Target from the corner, Dan Burns headed back across the box for Bruno. So there was three players there involved in one goal. So for him to come out and say stuff like that is just ridiculous. And I mean, it's I just don't know what's gone. I just see what Southampton do. I'm not an insider for the club or anything, because only one team I follow. But when you look from the outside in, you just see that it's a club that struggles, and it's one of these. Is it one of these clubs that, is it going to benefit going down and then coming back up? But it all goes down to tactics and the manager and players' attitudes. They've got assets there which are, people. Kel Walker-Peters isn't a bad right back at all, is he? I mean, it's better than the other names, say Kel Walker, isn't he? And he probably will get better as well. But it's one of them. It's just one of those things. I mean, Jordan knows more about his club than I do or you do. But yeah, they are struggling at the moment, and it all depends. They're going to face us tomorrow, and it's going to be a totally different Newcastle side to what they faced last season. Yeah, okay, they went ahead last season and we came back and won 2-1, turned it around. But we are totally different now, and teams have found that out. Villa fans were all, oh, yeah, we're going to go to Newcastle and stop them from winning and all this. And what happened? We turned them over 4-0. So, are Southampton ready for our game? Because if they're not, they're going to get turned over. That's the reality of it, and probably Jordan's in some ways probably hoping that does happen if that opens up the exit door for Hasenhüttl to go through and receive his P45 in the post.
Yeah, does look clever, doesn't it? I mean, look, at the end of the day, right? I mean, when you look at it, I mean, they lost doing something like how many games they won this season? 3 this season. They beat Chelsea at home, though. Credit for that. But at the end of the day, they're clearly struggling at home. I mean, they're just not good. I had a Villa fan the other day saying to us that Southampton are the worst side to play against. And they do not look good. They lost last Saturday, Jordan, as well. And again, you're just not putting the chances away. That's your problem.
Yeah, last week they lost to Crystal Palace. I expected it. I thought I predicted a 3-0 loss, to be honest. So it was good. It was only 1. But Palace had everything that we didn't. A lot of pace and power through their midfield. I really like what Patrick Vieira is doing at Palace. I like the signings. I like the way they're playing. Eze looks incredible. Zaha's playing his best football. And we the chances we did have, Che Adams had 2 golden opportunities in the 12-yard box and put them straight at the keeper both times, and hit the post with another opportunity. So, like I was saying earlier, if Adams, scores half the chances he misses, we would be fine, and similarly he would be getting sold. But what I think we're going to struggle with again with Newcastle tomorrow, Alain Saint-Maximin, we're really going to struggle with his pace and his directness massively. And Eddie Howe, going back to when he was at Bournemouth, it's a strange presence between Howe and Southampton. He seems to enjoy playing us, a lot. You know, he was at Bournemouth, he was also at Portsmouth, so two rivals, if you like. But yeah, I do worry for tomorrow. I expect us to lose tomorrow. I think Newcastle will win, probably 2-0. And I expect us to lose to Liverpool before the World Cup. And then, yeah, I want us to win every game we play. I don't want us to lose just so there's change. In an ideal world, we win both games and there's change. But I don't expect that to happen.
We have to wait and see what happens tomorrow, sort of thing. Like, I feel confident tomorrow for my game. So I think Newcastle are having a fantastic time. So yeah, let's go for the comments. Dino said, bring back Poch. If Hackney still lost to Justin Room, then surely that's curtains, that's in Diddle. Alan said, boost for Southampton. Sorry, Jordan. Newcastle to win by 3 goals to 0. And Leeds are 4 feet up. What a game at Ellen Road there. I mean, I'll tell you what, though. Jesse Mosh, if he wins that game, that's 2 wins and 2, and everyone been gone. But there you go. Right, Tony, for the team selection tomorrow, I mean, Joelinton's banned because he's got picked up his 5th yellow card of the season, right? Who's going to take his place, and will Eddie make any more changes?
Yeah, before going to that, Sunderland are losing, by the way, 1-0 to Cardiff City at home.
Fantastic.
At the Stadium of Crap. Yeah. Gateshead are losing at home, unfortunately, 3-2 in the FA Cup at the moment against Stevenage. So see if they can turn that around. Yeah. And unlucky for South Shields this afternoon, losing 2-0 at dinner time.
How did they play though? Did they play well? I didn't watch it.
I don't know. I didn't see the game, John. I know it was on BBC, but I didn't see it. But to lose 2-0 to a league club like Forest Green Rovers, that's a cracking result, really, in a way, because
it is.
They could have got hammered like 4-5, but obviously they've only lost 2-0, so they must have played very well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got South Shields going all the way. But let's hope to get promoted next season and the season before that and go to national conference. They do our there. They do fantastic there. I really do. Go on, Tony.
But Joelinton, I mean,
massive miss.
I think he deliberately went out his way and got booked last week because he probably thought, if I'm playing against Southampton and I get a yellow card, I can't play against Chelsea. So if I do a tackle and I get a yellow card for it against Villa, then I'm bound to I'll miss that game, and then I'll have to come back, and then I'll be back for the Chelsea game. That's probably the way he's thinking. So he's probably planned it that way.
Could you not got booked against? Could you not get booked against Southampton and then miss the Palace game in a cup game? Get banned for that.
I don't know if it works like that, John. I'm not sure. It might be just Premier League, mightn't it?
Is it? I thought you get a 5th booking, get an automatic 1-game ban, and then you could have missed.
Do you know what it could have been, John? Could have been. Could be, but I don't know. But that's a conspiracy stories going around that I've seen, that he's done it. He done it so he couldn't, so he didn't get booked against Southampton. I mean, if Joelinton's obviously out tomorrow, so anyway, if it was me personally, I wouldn't start Alan St. Maximin. I know he's fit, but I wouldn't start him. Simple reason being is, if he starts tomorrow and he pulls up and he goes off with an injury, that's him out the Chelsea game. Where I think more than likely Murphy will start tomorrow. And even if he plays 60 minutes and brings St. Maximin on for the last half an hour to just get his fitness built up, and then he may start against Chelsea. So I think that may be the thinking behind Eddie Howe. But then we've seen it before. Eddie Howe just surprise everybody and just boom, So doesn't surprise me if St. Maximin starts tomorrow. Personally, I think he'll be on the bench, and I think Murphy will start tomorrow. And then he'll come on with a half an hour to go or whatever, and just depending where we are in the game, depends how far ahead we are. Or, I mean, if Elliot Anderson's fit, he might start him. Who knows, I don't know. But there again, if he's just come back from an injury, maybe he might not get risked either. I've just read that Callum Wilson should be fine for tomorrow. He's had a cold, but apparently that's not going to stop him playing. and Shea should be all right tomorrow as well because his hamstring's fine. So it was just a slight strain or something. But yeah, I think it'll be, if I'm honest, John, I think it'll be Murphy. Not that I want Murphy playing every game, but I just think you'll not want to risk getting St. Maximum injured. The same with Shelby. Shelby won't start. I don't even think Shelby will start in a cup game, if I'm honest, or if he does, he might get an hour's run out or something. But yeah, I think, definitely, I think it'll be Murphy starting tomorrow with maybe St. Maximum coming on. That's the way I see it anyway. Because would you want to risk putting St. Maximum on and he pulls something early in the game or whatever? So I would rather not start Maxi tomorrow and keep him for Chelsea and then start him against Chelsea.
Yes, fair shout. That's a fair shout. What do you think of that, Jordan? Would you love to see ASM start tomorrow, Alan Maximin on the left side against your right back, whoever that's going to be?
No, obviously I'd rather him not play, but it's more it's more concerning that that you're seeing Southampton as a team you can rest players against. That is depressing to hear.
Fair enough. Got one from Lynn. Big up to you, Lynn, by the way. And I hope we get better soon. I mean, Lynn's absolutely lovely. Yeah, she's fantastic, and love other bits as well. If Lynn's watching it, we love you lots. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but I read somewhere that Joelinton can sit on the bench for the Southampton game and be subbed on if Southampton have a concussion substitute. Lynn, I don't think it's going to work that way, pet. I mean, he's got 5 bookings, and he's going to be suspended. Willie Tony, no matter what, he's banned, didn't he?
Nah, once you're suspended, you can't sit on the bench anyway. So he's out the game completely. So even if you've got the concussion substitute, it wouldn't work that way. Sorry.
Fair enough. It'd be nice to get him on there, sort of a special suspension. But hey ho, what can I see? I always fear playing Southampton at the Dale St Mary's, but now with such a different side, I look forward to it. That's in Gareth. Yeah, I mean, look, we're not scared of any teams anymore, Gareth. We're just going to go there and have a go and compete. That's exactly what we're doing. We're not scared of anyone anymore. We're not. And, just kind of what we're doing. And yo, John, my guy, hi, Tony Jordan. Easy win for the lads tomorrow. No problems. I think it was on Twitter. I read it on, so probably not accurate. It would be good if we could know. It'd be nice, but you can't see it happen anytime soon. It'd be nice, but I can't see it happening at all. Go back to the comments. Jordan, which 3 players would you take for Newcastle United?
Wow. Based on what we need, Callum Wilson, St. Maximin, and probably Joelinton. To be honest. Oh, well, actually, no, not Joelinton, Douglas instead. Sorry, not Douglas, Bruno.
Bruno.
Yeah.
I mean Douglas?
Yeah.
Douglas Ruiz, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know what you mean. Yeah, that's fair enough. And yeah, I mean, look, what about how do you think your team's going to play tomorrow? I mean, what's your formation going to be tomorrow if you're the manager?
Well, we're at home, so I'd like to think we go with the back 4. I think it will be a 4-3-3. Hopefully Lavia comes straight back in alongside Ward-Prowse. And then just the third man in the middle is probably the one most up for debate. I would like to see Stuart Armstrong play. I like him a lot. I think he has something our other players don't. He's very classy, technically very, very strong. I think we play better when we have him on the pitch. But he's been in and out and mostly out for a while now. I'd like to see Sekou Mara, our new French striker, get more minutes. And I think he deserves it. We don't have Moussa Djenepo tomorrow. So not that he probably would have started, but that's one less player to compete with him for minutes in the forward ranks. I expect obviously Che Adams to start. And Elyounoussi, again, he's getting a lot of minutes now. He went out on loan to Celtic, did well in Scotland. I thought that was going to be it. I didn't expect him to have a future at the club. But I think it's indicative of where we are at a club at the moment. Elyounoussi got nowhere near the first team, 2 years ago when we probably had the weakest squad we've had since returning to the Premier League. And now he starts. It's that final third is very frustrating as a Southampton fan now. I think it's very easy for teams to defend against us. Last season we were lucky in a way that we got so many goals from James Ward-Prowse, either direct free kicks or from his corners, getting goals off them. We were really lucky because if we didn't have half of those goals from Ward-Prowse deliveries or free kicks, we probably would have been relegation candidates. And this season, without that, because it hasn't come much so far, I really, really do worry for us. And I know it's different with a World Cup year and no football for a month, but to be where we are heading into Christmas, we're going to Liverpool. Being in the bottom three at Christmas is a real mental challenge for teams to overcome, and I can't see us addressing what we need, i.e. a goal scoring number 9 in a January window. January prices are always inflated. I don't recall in recent years us making any big January signings. I worry, but I think Bazunu will be in goal, Peru at left back, centre backs. Bella Kotchap is back. Whether he goes straight back into the starting lineup, I'm not sure, because Keleta Kar, our new Croatian defenders, looked fairly solid alongside Salisu. But if he's back, then a back three isn't an option if it makes it more attacking. Maybe Lianco will be at right back again, but he doesn't have to be. We have Maitland-Niles now on loan, and I'm surprised that he hasn't played more since we bought him in, because he has pedigree. He's a good player, but he is an option at right back tomorrow, at least in theory. And similarly with Lavia returning, even James Ward-Prowse is an option at right back. Like, he's played right back as an emergency player before and done well. Very good performances at right back against Crystal Palace a couple of seasons ago. But I think whoever we play at right back is going to be, killed and targeted by Newcastle. Maitland-Niles is probably the best shout to counter that, but I don't see it happening. Like I said, I expect us to lose tomorrow, probably 2-0.
Fair enough. He's going for prediction later on, sort of thing. So, come to the end of the show for prediction again, just to remind everybody else. Now you beat us to it. How's it going? Yeah, it's going well, mate. Holland has just scored injury time winner, so that's going to be 2-1 to Man City, and Leeds have beaten Bournemouth by 4-3. So it looks like your team is. I think it could be in the bottom 3 later. I think it could well be going into the game. And that doesn't look too good. So, Tony, which players do you think you should watch out for tomorrow for Southampton?
Southampton will be in the bottom 3 if Leicester pick up at least a point against Everton. So the only way they'll stay out the bottom 3 is if Everton win the home game. Forest got a 2-2 draw, by the way, and Sunderland lost. So Sunderland are now 4 points above the relegation zone in the Championship, of course. Yeah, so that's how, and they're in 13th place, but 4 points ahead of it. So, that just shows you how tight it is in that league. I mean, G. Adams is obviously one to watch out for, but then I'm sure Botman and Cher will have him in their back pocket. He's going to find it hard to get round our defence, really, because we've got the best defence in the Premier League. Obviously, Ward-Prowse is a danger from his free kicks, as everybody knows anyway. So you just don't give a free kick away outside the box. Because 9 times out of 10, that'll end up in the back of the net. And who else would I look out for? I would have said Kyle Walker-Peters, but obviously he's not playing. So it's a tricky one. I think Stuart Armstrong is a bit of a, he's like one of these. I think he's your 7 out of 10 player. So I'd probably say Stuart Armstrong. I mean, Bazunu. He's not a bad goalkeeper. I actually beat the drum for him in the summer for us to sign. And when he went to Southampton, I was a bit like, all right, okay, then Southampton's got him. Because, I mean, at 19, he's a full international for Ireland, and, you know, he's not a bad keeper. I mean, I saw a few games on TV last year when he was on loan at Portsmouth, and he had a good season with Portsmouth. And I was surprised Man City let him go, to be fair. But obviously he's not going to get past Edison anytime soon. But I think he's been found out a few times in the Premier League, Bazunu, but he's only going to learn from that experience. Obviously he's going to have to bend his back tomorrow when he picks that ball out the back of the net. But yeah, I think on the 3 players, I think that would be about the 3 players, because I don't really know a lot of players in the Southampton side. Yeah, I would say Stuart Armstrong, because he can get a goal and he can ghost into places. So, you know, Che Adams and Ward-Prowse.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, you can't give Ward-Prowse any chance of goals, by the way, because I'll tell you what, like you said, he'll probably shoot every single time. I mean, like I say, Che Adams is a bit physical lad. I think he'd be alright for the club as well. I don't fear Southampton, by the way. I really don't. I think we have enough for them tomorrow. But big up to Brian, by the way. Hope you're okay, mate. Thank you for coming on again. And excluding out and out goal scorer, what's Southampton's biggest weakness? Aston Luke.
Well, our lack of creativity in the final third, to be honest. We're so easy to defend against, and we're so reliant on probably 2 players for a regular source of goals. One being Ward-Prowse with set pieces, and then Che Adams, who just doesn't score enough to be a Premier League striker, in my opinion. So yeah, it's, you know, if Newcastle defend well and that's how they want to play the game, I can see Newcastle just winning with 1 goal. Like, at the moment, you don't need much to beat us, and 1 goal can be it, because we're not regular, and we're far too predictable in attack.
Yeah, very interesting, very interesting. But hopefully in January, if you can get a striker coming in, I mean, he knows he needs a striker big style, because look, at the end of the day, I mean, Danny Ings, can you not get Danny Ings back on loan in January, perhaps? Because I don't know if he's got, you know, Henry fancy him, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think it will happen. I think, to be fair, he played the best football of his career with us, and it's a real shame he left, and you know, the manner in which he left, and to Aston Villa as well. Obviously, you can look at where we are in the table now and how Aston Villa did last season, but at the time, it very much felt like a sideways step. Like, you know, Ings was getting England games with us. He was our top scorer 2 seasons on the trot. He was very, very sharp. So it felt like a sideways step. We thought if he's going to go anywhere, it's going to be to go to a top 6, top 7 club. But, you know, he wanted to go somewhere better than Southampton, which he obviously felt Villa was, and to be starting. And now he's not doing either of those things. I don't know who we could bring in January. I know that that there is money there to spend for the right player, but our signings very much in the summer all had a similar theme to them. Like, you know, they were almost without exception young project players that are good enough for us in the current moment because of where we are as a team and our level, but are mainly players that in 2 or 3 years' time we're going to be selling for 30, 40 million plus. And, you know, the new ownership, they've already bought another club. You know, they made it clear from the beginning that they wanted a multi-club ownership model. And I think Southampton fans thought that we were sort of going to be the epicenter to that. But they bought Göztepe in Turkey, and I think personally ill-advised. The sporting director has come out and described them as a bigger club than Southampton, and that they seemingly are going to get more focus, which is just, for me, an utterly bizarre thing to say. You know, I don't know a great deal about Turkish football, and you know, perhaps Göztepe have got a bigger fan base and what have you. But you know, you have a team in the biggest league, most watched league in the world, in Southampton. It just seems very bizarre to describe a Turkish club as bigger. And I think a lot of hope that we had with the new ownership model isn't coming to to fruition. Was that maybe the fans' fault, maybe over expectation, or not understanding, the owner's intentions with us? I think we also got excited with the guys that came in to do the recruitment, from Brentford, and those early players that we signed. Like I said, they are good signings. To bring 3 players from Man City was incredible. We had, I think it was Chelsea, made an offer for one of the players we signed from Man City, Lavia, almost like 2 weeks after we signed him. So we did well for the caliber of the players we brought in, but it's just you need to mix those players with more experienced regular players, and that's what we're lacking. I think somebody said in the comments earlier, I can't remember who, but we lack balance. And whoever commented that had it spot on. That's exactly what we're missing at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely right. I believe that was Dunil who said that as well. I think it might be Dunil. And that's what you need. You get a balance, right? I mean, Ralph should sort that out years ago. Otherwise, he would have been out. But you know what it is, right, with Ralph Hato? So he's a talented manager, but he just hasn't lost his way quite a little bit as well. So he always fix it up after the World Cup. Luke, please hit the subscribe button, mate, if you can, mate. Thanks so much indeed, man. And something Neil Cardiff 1. Good morning to you, Dean. Hope you're okay. Gear said to Stevenage 3. And then we've got Dean and also Alan saying, why do you go for Chris Woods?
Again, like I said, when like how I reacted earlier, when you said that maybe rest players against us, it's it's depressing to hear that's where we are at the club, and maybe signing Chris Woods, like again, it's depressing to hear that they're the kind of players people think that we should be signing. I'd like to hope that we're signing, somebody better. Frankly, I don't see Chris Woods as a better option than Che Adams, to be honest. And if we bring in a striker, it has to be someone better. Not someone to play alongside him or learn from him. It has to be better. We need to be signing players that improve our starting 11, not just to fill out a squad.
This is it. And also, Tony, heard rumours today that Jamal Lascelles could be off in January, and Newcastle wants 10 million quid. Do you think it's about time he needs to move on? Being moved on?
Yeah, absolutely. He's not going to get in the first team at the moment, and I think it's time that he moves on. But we need to get somebody in his place while he goes. So it's no good just moving him on and not having any defensive cover. I think if he moves on in January, that's a good move for all round, and £10 million about right as well. So I would probably value him about that. Maybe to bottom half club in the Premier League or maybe Championship, but hopefully somebody will snap him up.
Let's hope so, because he does need games, by the way. He's out of contract to the end of next season after signing a massive 6-year deal. And let's hope he finds a club. Maybe not in Forest, perhaps. You just never know, because they can do him in the back. If they give him a back, I think they may just stay up. Never know his experience, but we'll see. Guys, if you like the video, like what you see, then hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe button as well. If you like the super chat, click on the $sign. If you like the become a member, it's 99p. Just click on the link on top of the chat, and it's 99p. That's all it is. And do follow Jordan Floyd on his Twitter account. All in one word, capital J, capital F. And also, please follow Tony2031 on his podcast. It's all black and white TV. I like that channel, by the way. I really do. And it's fast growing as well. And Shane McGann Gears said as well. Right, we're going to do a bit of combined 11 between Southampton and Newcastle. And what we do, we just pick the best keeper, the best right back, best left back. And I'm going to share the screen now. And if I can just get that up as well. And I'm going to start with you, Jordan. Who would you have as your goalkeeper?
Yours.
You just pick by form, by the way.
Sorry?
We just pick players who's on form.
Yeah. No. I Newcastle for goalkeeper for sure.
Nick Pope. I do like a keeper, by the way. He's going to come fantastic. Do you agree with that, Tony?
Yeah, Pope. Yeah,
I put Pope
Has
in
to
there.
be.
That's number one. Right, let's go on to the right back. There's only one contender, I think, so I would say, Jordan.
Yeah, for sure. Particularly with our two best right backs out injured, has to be Trippier.
Even Trippier. I'll just click it on there. Click on there. If it allows us to. On the right back berth. Don't think it's clicking for me, by the way, but we know it's Trippier. And who should we say? I'll go that way. Go that way. It doesn't matter, I've done it. So if you go to the left back side, I mean, what about you, Tony? I mean, the left back. I mean, would you Kyle Walker-Peters or would you stick with Dan Burn or Target?
Depends who plays left back for Southampton, because I think Kyle Walker-Peters a right back, isn't he?
He has been playing at left back, but he's out injured at the moment. He's out for a couple more weeks. Our left back is good. The French guy, Romain Parou, he's good, and I'm not a fan of Dan Burn personally. And obviously, Target's an ex-Saints player. I would back our left back. To be honest,
You back a left back, and that's Peru, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, do you know a lot about him?
I don't know a lot about him, John, but yeah.
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because he is one of the better players this season. And let's be real, he's one of the better players. Also, Dan Burn could play there as well, but one was a centre back as well, playing at centre back. Matt Target hardly play. So for me, it'd be Peru. We're going to go for Peru, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Peru. And he came for a Lorient, didn't he?
Yeah, he came in from France, where he was, I think he was in the team of the season, season before last, where a lot of people expected him to come straight in as the starting left back. But last season, he had a lot of rotation with Kyle Walker-Peters playing at left back and Tino Livramento at right back at 18. He had a fantastic season, but I think it was an ACL injury that's kept him out, and he's going to be out for probably a couple more months, to be honest.
Fair enough. Okie dokie. Before we go on to the next one, I'm going to go through this comments as well. Shiva makes the best 11. We do a combined 11 there today. Combined 11, Keith. But between Southampton and Newcastle, does Keegan make the combined 11? No, we're talking about this season, mate, combined. Well, all your thoughts on Adam Armstrong and how he set the Southampton. It did mention that. It has to be in that great. I don't think it's the answer for Southampton, mate. I really don't. And if he plays tomorrow, they'll have no problems at all whatsoever. Because, like Tony said earlier, our defence is pulling in his back pockets. But for me personally, I think he's struggling. He is not a Premier League player. Yes, he's a good Championship player, but the Premier League is a gap between the Premier League and the Championship. So for me, I don't think he's going to make it in the Premier League, Keith. I'm sorry, mate. I really don't. So that's my answer. Evening, guys. Nearly another match. I don't think I've looked forward to each Manchester 90s. That's an Allen. Should be a canny game tomorrow. John, Tony, would you guys change a club crest like City done in the future? Tony, would you change the club's crest?
It's a funny one. It's just because we've had this crest since 88, 89. I mean, if we did, I would go back to the early 80s when we had the badge with the magpie in the castle behind it in the circle with Newcastle United Football Club in. If it was to go back retro, then I'll go back to that one. I mean, I did like the other one, the NUFC with a little magpie under the sea, but the other one was that I liked better. I mean, I love this badge, don't get me wrong, but in terms of changing it, it's one of those. But I think it would be something that the owners would consult the fans over. But yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, the badge we've got now is a nice badge, and it's a badge that we've had for quite a long time, since, like I say, since the late 80s, 88, 89. So I don't know. Would I change it? I'm not so sure. You know, don't know about you, John, but I think keep it the way it is for now. I would say don't. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So yeah, just leave it as it is and just unless it's something I want to consult the fans and then the fans can have a vote, I suppose. But I know Man City have gone back to their old crest, haven't they, from the other one, and they've gone back in time, back to retro, and but I'm not so sure, John. No, I think I'll stay with what we've got, which is this one.
Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. That's fair. I quite like the one we've got on anyway, mate. So, look, at the end of the day, what I can say, just keep it as it is. And let's go on to the centre-back pairing on the combined 11. Tony, I'm going to start with you, mate.
What, the two centre-backs?
Yeah, could choose. Yeah, go for it.
I would say Botman. They'll have to be in there. And Coletta Carr. Because he ain't a bad centre-back, John. Croatian, isn't he? So he's not a bad centre-back at all.
I'm going to have to agree Coletta Carr. I'll just put it in now. Coletta. 6'4" he is as well. Do you agree with that one there, Jordan? Coletta Carr?
Yeah, he's definitely a good defender. Obviously, it's early days for him. He was a very recent signing. I think he could grow into being our best centre back for sure. I think at present, I think Salisu is our best centre back in general. But he can be erratic. But yeah, it's not a bad shout. I was expecting you to go with both Newcastle centre backs, so I'll take it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'll be happy with that back four there, by the way. It looks quite solid, looks quite strong as well. The midfield, central midfield, who would you place in number 6? Tony.
You got to put Bruno in there, haven't you? Because he can do the defensive and get forward as well. So yeah, I would say put Bruno in there. Or Joelinton. Either one of them two.
Yeah. Okay. And what about you, Jordan?
I think only Ward-Prowse can get into the combined 11 in the midfield.
Cool stuff. For me, I'm going to say Joelinton as well in the midfield. So that's definitely going to be him. I'll just click on central mid. That's it. Brazilian. It costs 40 million. There's effing brilliant, it's Joelinton. Right, let's go on to the left side. I'll go with you, Tony.
Left side. Oh,
left wing.
Well, it's got to be ASM, hasn't it, on the left? But I don't know who Southampton's left winger is, so.
We've been well, it depends on the formation that we've been playing, but our wide players in general, like I said, Gineppo's missing tomorrow. Not that he regularly starts. We've used Stuart Armstrong wide left. We've used Aribo on the wing, Elyounoussi as well on the sides. But yeah, none of them come close to ASM, to be honest.
Fair enough. For me, I'm going to go with Miggy. Almiron for me. And up front, I'll start with you there, Jordan. He's going to be up front.
Has to be Callum Wilson, doesn't it?
Yeah, gotta be. He's been absolutely on fire this season, you know what I mean? And he's been superb this season, and did you go with that, Tony?
Yeah, absolutely. He's on fire. And like I said earlier on in the match preview, I said, I know Callum Wilson's got an illness, like a cold, but there's no way he's missing tomorrow because there's a World Cup squad being announced on Thursday, And do you think he really wants to not play tomorrow? No, he'll want to play tomorrow because he'll want to make sure Southgate sees him scoring again and he's getting in that England squad. He needs to get in that England squad ahead of Rashford, because Rashford is useless. I'm sorry, I do not rate Rashford at all. And if Rashford gets in ahead of Wilson, then I'm sorry, it's just Southgate taking the favourites again. And if you've got a penalty shootout coming up, you not only need to take Wilson, but you take Ivan Toney as well over Rashford, because those two can put the ball in the back of the net from the penalty spot under pressure as well.
Well said. Well said. Do you go on that one, Jordan?
What, for the World Cup, or just for Wilson?
Wilson for the World Cup.
We're top heavy team, aren't we, England? We're taking a lot of forwards and we take a lot of wide players. I just think I probably agree with the comment I saw at the beginning. Like, I felt a similar way in recent times with Southampton players getting England call-ups. Obviously a World Cup's a World Cup, so you should want your players in a World Cup. It was great when Ricky Lambert went to the World Cup when he was at Southampton in 2014, and would have been fantastic for Jay Rodriguez to go before that, career-changing injury that he got against Man City, because he would have been 100% going to the World Cup in 2014. But yeah, I just think, he's going to, obviously Kane is going to be the starting number 9. I think he will take Rashford, just because I think he will. And then Ivan Toney, I think, will probably go, and it's just whether he is going to take 3 number 9s with him or not, because he tends to pack out the forward ranks with wide players and a few number 10s. I don't reckon he'll make the cut. I'm not against him being in it at all, but I don't reckon he'll make the cut.
Okay, fair enough. So let's go through this combined 11 then. This is our team we decided to go to goal. We've got Nick Pope and goal. We've got the back 4, Peru, Coletta, Carr, Botman, Trippier. Midfield 3, Bruno, Joelinton, Ward-Prowse. The front 3, ASM, Amiron, and Callum Wilson. Do you agree with that term of combined 11? Let us know in the comments in the sections down below, people. So that sounds a good side. Let's go on to the comments. Absolutely, Alan. 2 matches, something to look forward to. Even in the Gary, John Bedford is in the all-time best 11 left back. I have to agree. We've done a prediction show me and told you the other day. No Southampton really can get into our squad. They have been poor this season. Poor. This is a combined 11. We picked the players who's been on form this season. So, yes, I can understand what you're trying to say. You're absolutely right. So that's our combined 11. Right. On to the match predictions. I'll start with you, Jordan. Southampton, Newcastle. And you said 2-0. You're going to stick by 2-0, or are you going to change your mind?
Definitely sticking by 2-0. And I can see the game being over by half time, quite frankly. The only reason the only salvation is that it's our home game, and we have been all right at home recently. We were terrible at home. Recent seasons we've not been great at all, but we've done all right, and the club are trying to connect with the fans at the moment. They're putting a lot of effort into it, the press conferences, with public communications. But yeah, it doesn't change anything for me. I think Newcastle will win.
I hope you're right. I hope that's the case. And can you also see Newcastle United this season in the Champions League this season? We finished 4th this season, in your opinion?
It would be a huge achievement. I don't expect it to happen, to be honest. Hopefully, for your sake as Newcastle fans, the top 7 is possible. But the majority, you need really one of the big teams to have a bad season. And I don't think any of them are going to. Arsenal are looking the strongest they've looked in years. Obviously, Man City are just going to probably stroll away with the league quite comfortably, I expect. I think Liverpool are off the pace, but I still think they're finished top 4. So to sneak in would be a tall ask. Arsenal, City, Liverpool. If you're going to compete, if you're going to stay up there, it's going to be like Tottenham and Chelsea that you're competing with for that 4th space. But I think if top 7, you should be more than happy with.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And also, before I pass on to Tony, I've got to ask you this question, right? Now we have to take over, right? Now money's coming in for the Saudis. How do you feel as a Southampton fan that Newcastle United got taken over by the Saudis? Do you agree with it? Do you agree with it? Because there's been a lot of talk about it.
Yeah, there has been a lot of talk about it, but you know, it would be more understandable. Like for me, it's a valid discussion, and people are raising valid points about it. But to me, it was a more relevant conversation if it happened 10, 15 years ago. You know, it's a fact that clubs are bought to it's sports washing. That's all it is. It's cleaning up an image. It's making yourself as an entity or an organization untouchable. But you know, if we're going to complain about Saudi Arabia owning Newcastle United, you have to have the same complaints about City's ownership, the same complaints about Chelsea's previous ownership. Like it's for me, it's a redundant conversation. Like it's a valid conversation. The concerns are valid, but it's a pointless conversation because it happens everywhere, all over the world. How many of the big clubs in the world are owned in, shall we say, honest ways or with honest money? Like minimal. Barcelona traditionally, historically, but they're in financial dire straits at the moment. Bayern Munich is an exception because of the ownership there. But to me, it's just it's a pointless conversation to have.
Yeah. I mean, you do get a lot of journalists, Tony, that don't want us in the top four, they don't want us upsetting the big six, and it's a showing now, isn't it? It's showing now that we're gate crashing them in a minute. Look at Liverpool, 8 points behind us. We beat Tottenham, pick up the point against Man City. Do you know what I mean? And they're just not praising us at all whatsoever. They don't want these people don't want to praise us at all. And what we're doing, right? We're just shutting them up. Oliver Holt is the worst of the lot.
Yeah, I mean, takeovers happened. You know, Premier League came out and said that there was separation there between PIF and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and they did say if the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia start interfering with the day-to-day run of the club, that's when things will be done about it. In other words, we're not state-owned. So we're not state-owned because there is separation has been proven between PIF and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Also, you go back to the CAT case last September. I mean, Daniel Jowell, who was working on behalf of Mike Ashley for St James's Holdings, who is the second best top lawyer in the country for this sort of thing, business and finance and everything. And, you know, I mean, when he said in that court area, well, obviously they were all on video, but, you know, it was still a courtroom at the end of the day. When he sat there and said the Premier League wanted to chuck us out of the Premier League 6 months prior, that shows you how corrupt the Premier League was at that time. That's hence the reason why Gary Hoffman left in January and resigned, because he knew once the takeover went through, that was it. His job was done. He was finished because he was the one who was all against it. Because there was no red flags against this takeover until Gary Hoffman walked into the Premier League building as chairman. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden the red flags appeared. So, you know, but it's done. And I just wish people would move on from it and just stop associating us with stuff. I mean, it gets into the argument. I mean, but then you've got Qatar. You've got a World Cup in Qatar. But then people who are complaining about our club will be sitting there watching the World Cup on their TV screens, watching the England games or watching other games and things like that. So in a way, it's no good calling our club and saying to us that, you know, you don't agree with our ownership. But then you're being a hypocrite if you don't agree with our ownership, but then you're going to go and watch a World Cup in Qatar where people have died because of horrendous human rights when they built stadiums and felt their deaths on a few pound an hour working 12-hour shifts. And illegal immigrants that have been given jobs over there. And if they've refused to work in the heat, in 40-degree heat, cleaning stadiums, getting them ready for the World Cup, they've been turfed out the country. So yeah, it's a balancing act. And it's like the journalists as well, the way they keep going on. It's all right them going on about us, but I bet these journalists went and watched the Anthony Joshua and Usyk fight in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh and got the 5-star hospitality and the 5-star hotels. I bet they didn't complain back then. It was all the human rights and everything. No, they wouldn't have said nothing about that. These same journalists be going off to Qatar, exactly the same. 5-star hospitality, 5-star hotels and everything. Chauffeur driven around. But they'll not be complaining. No, they won't complain because they're living the life of luxury and they're getting well paid for it as well. So, but, it's down to a jealousy thing. They are frightened that we are going to take over the top 6. And we will one day take over the top 6 because it'll no longer be known as the Big 6 because we're part of the 7th now. We're the 7th club in that Big 6, so it's a Big 7 now. And it's nice when Pep Guardiola comes out and says, not only are we good enough to be in that top 4, but he still says we're title challengers. Now, it's nice for him to say that, but I don't want us being associated as a title challenger because at the end of the day, I know fine well we are not going to win the league this year. And I'm a realist, and I'm being a realist. Like with the top 4, I see a lot of people getting excited about getting the top 4, but I say, yes, it's nice while we're there. If we're still in that position in April, and we can push on for the last few games and consolidate that top 4, then I'm all for it. And I'll be really happy if we end up in the Champions League. But if we didn't and we finish 7th and we end up in the Europa Conference League, that's good enough because we're still in the European competition next season. So the likes of these journalists and things like that. And I mean, we've got a group of fans on. They've got a group of fans on the on Twitter, which I didn't even bother responding to them, but they're doing a silent protest. Our own fans doing a silent protest outside the stadium for next week's game against Chelsea because I've got concerns over the ownership. Absolutely disgusting. It's a stupid protest, but as I've said before, and I'll say it again, I appeal to anybody who's going to football, don't rise to them. If you obviously you don't like what they're doing. I don't like what they're doing. I would just walk past them. I wouldn't even go over and give them any satisfaction of any argument with them or nothing. Just walk past them. The more you ignore them, the more they know that protest isn't getting very far.
Well said, Tony. Well said. Thank you. I'll go over the comments, get your prediction in a bit. I agree with Jordan there. When does it stop? Before the takeover, our PIF already had an impact on our lives. Starbucks, Disney Plus, and Facebook. Well said, Tony. And I blame the media and Sky all wasted time. They were also attended AJ and Ruiz to fight and WWE wrestling events in Saudi Arabia and didn't complain either. Exactly. Title challengers want to build a good, decent squad. Exactly. And Tony, give us your score prediction, mate.
Yeah, I said 2-0 to us when Miggy and Wilson on the score sheet. I said 3-0 last week would be Phil, and they went out and won 4-0. So, so I'm saying 2-0. So it may be that we score more than 2 this time. But, I'll say 2-0. And Eddie's trying to tell the fans to not expect Miggy to score 25 or 30 yarders every weekend. Because according to Eddie Howe, the best goal he's seen Miggy score was the tap in at Fulham for his second goal from the Willock cross. He says, I'd rather have them type of goals than the 30 yarders every week.
Absolutely. He's got a 58 million release clause as well, by the way. So let's be real. He ain't going anywhere. He's going nowhere. If anything, he'll get a new contract anyway because he stepped up. He's still alive. And there you go. That's it there, people. I know people's coming in to us for sure. And 36 people watching live. Thank you very much indeed for that. But you have to go to wrap up. But please give it a like as well. And it's been a great show. Thanks so much, guys, for coming in. And I've got one here from CM. CM, please hit the subscribe button, mate. If you can, that'd be brilliant. Why don't they protest into the MPs? What kind of football club change in geopolitics? Yeah, that's a fair comment, mate. That's a fair comment there.
Yeah.
And great discussion, guys. Thank you very much indeed, Neil. Listen, Jordan, did you enjoy coming on my show, mate?
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much for the invite. It's always a pleasure. And like I said, I've not seen much Premier League games this season aside from Southampton, so it was good to hear about how well you guys are doing as well.
Brilliant. And what's it like living in South America?
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. The time difference can sometimes be a problem. Like, if Saints play a midday game on Saturday, that's me watching it at 7 a.m. And this season, more often than not, that means starting my weekend with a 7 a.m. defeat, which puts me in a miserable mood for the whole weekend. But I've been here 18 months now, and I really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to experiencing the World Cup whilst here as well, because the way Venezuela are for that month during the World Cup, I've been told great things about. Basically everyone gets involved and everyone gives it a lot of attention. Venezuela themselves have never been to a World Cup, but the passion for the tournament is huge.
Absolutely right. I heard Venezuela, that's a nice place. Like, I mean, some parts of it, I don't know. I've never been to Venezuela sort of thing. So yeah. So good luck on them, man. And all I can say to you, man, if you go too feeling up for where you're at, stay in bed, because this could be a cakewalk. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
if I lived in Venezuela, and Newcastle losing by 2, 3, 4 goals, I stay in bed. I stay in bed. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to get up to watch this. Do you know what I mean? But there you go. Get people from Japan, get people from watch Newcastle United as well. So there you go. It would be interesting to find how many clubs take money from Saudi's sponsorship. That'd be very interesting. Very interesting. Thanks all. Thank you, Keith. Big up to CM. Big up John Potter too. Congrats on the new lass. Thank you so much indeed. Do you know what? I spoke to her since my birthday, and I spoke to her every single day, every single night. She rang this afternoon, by the way. Bless her. And enjoy the show. Thank you all. Thank you very much indeed, Gareth Cooper. And Tony, where can you find you, my guy?
Yeah, so you can find me down there at Tony31 on Twitter. Give me a follow and I'll follow you back. And you can also find me on my channel, which is now 2 weeks old today. It's all black and white TV. That's with an N in the middle. Yeah, come on there, have a look. Got some great content on there. I've done a match preview today, and I've done a press reaction last night from Eddie Howe's press conference. Tomorrow I've got a warm-up show at 12:30, and then I'll have a match reaction at some point tomorrow, which I'll actually put out there with a time to be confirmed. But please come and have a look. Like I say, a brand new channel has been going 2 weeks, and if you like it, give it a like and a subscribe, and that would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much.
Tony, you could have done my warm-up show on my channel, man. You're pitching my content, man. I'm going to see my lawyer now. This is not good enough. I'm going to see my lawyer. But would it be chucked out in court, do you think? We'll see what Billy say. Billy probably say chucked out in court. That'd be chucked out in court, but bless him. Nah, you go for it, man. You do well, man. It's just a shame I'm not doing the warm-up show tomorrow. You could have done mine. So I was going to Southampton. You could have done mine, and then you could have done yours as well, but could have done double, but there you go. But guys, no warm-up show for us tomorrow because I'll be going to Southampton. I'm trying to do a vlog tomorrow if I can. If you do watch us, I'll do my best. I'll do the best I can and give it to like Macy or someone who could just do the video first as well. So if you like the video, like what you see, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, please. And if you like the super chat, hit on the $sign. And if you'd like to become a member, then just click on the link as well. And the join button, 99p. That's all it costs. And listen, at the end of the day, that's all it is. Enjoy the show. Thank you all. Thank you, Gareth, as well. So I'll be back for the match review. Player ratings could be tomorrow. I'll let you know tomorrow, right, what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can make it tomorrow or not. If I do, we'll do it on Sunday. If not, we'll do it on Monday. And until then, guys, thanks for watching the match preview between Southampton and Newcastle United. Big up to Tony. Big up to Jordan. And have a lovely weekend. And I shall speak to you very soon. Take care.
Goodbye.
Cheers, guys.